Good morning, and thank you for joining me today. Just to start off with a little sound check, making sure that you can hear okay. I sent out a chat message a little bit earlier saying good morning. If you could just use that little chat feature. I think the icon looks like a little question mark in the top right corner to just send me a little chat saying hi or that you can hear. Something along those lines. Awesome. Yay. Thank you, Nicole. Appreciate that. I have a new headset, so it's, scary for a second. All right. Well, thank you again so much for joining me online this morning. My name is Marilyn Maxwell. You should be seeing all my contact information on the screen there. If you've got any questions along the way during the webinar, just continue to use that little chat feature to type those questions in there. I also uploaded a handout for you. It's just kind of a quick overview of what I'll be talking about today with some screenshots to use as reference later. You're welcome to download that and look at it while I'm talking, but it will be available for reference after as well. I'm recording this session, so anyone that registered will get a copy of the handout, but also a link to this recording once we're finished. It takes just a couple of days to render it and edit it and get it posted, but I'll email all of that to you as well as having the session here today. So again, just to get rolling, we're going to be covering just some of the basic functionality of the app. And when you first open the app, you'll see pretty straightforward menus there. But again, just to kind of show you a hands-on view, I have a couple of Marilynisms. Hiding in plain sight is one of them. Up at the top, there are a few features that are hiding in plain sight. So I've logged in as an NTREIS member, and I'm pretending to be Beverly today, so excuse that it says Beverly, and thank Beverly if you know her for having a fantastic account for me to borrow. But looking across the very top of the screen, there's a little car-looking icon here at the very top center. And if you haven't already discovered that, car mode is designed, I'm in Houston, of course, so the screen will look a little different here, but is designed to give you an audio reading of the information about a property. So the idea is I tap on car mode to enable it like you see on the screen, and then as I drive up to any home that's in the MLS system, it will read out the details of that property. So rather than me having to open my phone, pull up the property, and read through those, I can hear it quickly and easily. It's a good tool, of course, for agents as you're driving down the road. If you have a potential buyer in your car and they're wondering why you didn't pull up property information about that listing to go show them as they read the details or have the details read to them, it could clearly, easily, quickly tell them, well, it's out of your price range, it didn't have the pool you wanted, all of those other things. Also, as an agent, of course, you can use it to just know the market. She's kind of a mom, so as soon as you tap on the car mode and launch it, it'll say very excitedly, let's get started with car mode. And then as you pull up to property, again, as long as it's in your MLS system, it'll know that and it'll read those details. So it's a quick and easy way to kind of research the market as you drive through it. And then naturally, it does give you on-screen options as well. Again, I just don't happen to have any listings right by me where I'm sitting at the Houston Association of Realtors, so I don't have anything to click or tap, but it would give me on-screen commands. I could verbally say, call the agent, get more information, and then it would read that to me back in voice command. And then also I can tap the screen and physically use my phone to just read it myself. Kurthan, sorry if I'm saying that wrong. I have terrible eyesight and the font is very tiny. To confirm is the name of the app, the NTREIS Go. Kurtland, thank you. I'm so sorry about that. Caps helps me tremendously. I'm not certain how they have it in the App Store. As far as I know, it's just called the HAR.com, NTREIS HAR.com Pro app is how we have it branded here in our development and testing team. I will find out for certain, and I'll include that in the follow-up email that I send out to you. So thank you, Kirtland. I appreciate that. And thank you for letting me know the audio is working great for you too. All righty. So keep those questions coming if you have them. Just keep send them through the written chat. So backing up just a touch to that home screen, the next icon over is like a little magnifying glass. It's to search. So I call it the quick search. If you just tap there, if you know an MLS number, address, zip code, something like that, you can type that in real quickly and pull the property up that way, rather than having to go through search for sale, type criteria, and pull it up that way. And then in the upper right, almost to the far right, the other icon up there for you is the chat. This is a mobile online chat, like good old-fashioned instant AOL instant messaging type chat. So if you tap there initially, you'll need to set it up and just decide when it is you want to be available for chat. This is one of the perks of being on the mobile device and kind of knowing what this little icon does. It's another lead generation opportunity for you guys. So if a consumer is using the app, let's say, and pulls up a piece of property, they'll have the option to call you or email you, of course, and share the property and things like that. But the chat gives them another means of contacting you and having a conversation. It's one of those things we've just found that consumers like because it kind of it gives them a little more control over the contact. I can initiate the contact as a consumer. I can drop out of that chat whenever I want. For an agent, it allows you, of course, to instantly get the message from the consumer and respond almost immediately. It's going to send push notifications to your phone. As soon as they tap on the chat with Marilyn or chat with Beverly or whatever your name is, it would instantly push a push notification to your phone. So you get the, ding, and know immediately to begin engaging in that chat if you're available. And then it does also record the transcripts of those conversations. So at any point, like we have the little chat test sessions here, I can see my whole conversation with that particular consumer after the fact. So I can go back and reference what they had asked me for, be able to reach out to them again, just to follow up, whatever I'd like to do. And again, the consumer is usually initiating that, so they already are understanding, of course, they're reaching out and beginning contact with an agent. Our app requires that consumers register to use the app to do a couple of things. Chatting is one of those, and then bookmarking or favoriting a home is another. So you'll always know at least the person's first and last and email address as they provided it. Of course, you've worked in this industry long enough to know we can't help it if they provide false information, but we do require that they provide a first name, last name, and email. So the push notification you'll get about the chat immediately comes to you. The consumer immediately gets a response as well. So as soon as they tap on that chat button, they're going to get a pop-up that says, hello, whatever their first name is, how may I help you today? So it looks immediately as if you are responding to the chat. Simultaneously, you get your push notification so you can then somewhat instantly jump right in and personally be involved in the conversation. So again, kind of hiding in plain sight, another Marilynism for you. Anytime a consumer is looking at your listings or your personal profile, they'll see that chat during the times that you've made it available. I'm using a Droid phone today, so it may look a little different if you're on an iPhone. We have a cute little gear icon here on Droids. On an iPhone at the bottom, I believe it is, bottom left, it says the word settings. So instead of cute little icons for settings, you get just good old-fashioned words on iPhone. But looking at her screen, you can see here she's decided to be available 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. So the chat icon automatically appears on anywhere her name appears throughout the app. So listings or agent profile page. And then consumers will not see that button because of the way she has it configured on Saturday and Sunday, 9 to 5. So again, personal preference there. You can make it as, wide a time frame as you would like, or as small a time frame. Maybe you try to give yourself a day off that's, like Tuesdays, or maybe you're super busy with office meetings, property tours, whatever on Tuesdays, so you're going to have fewer hours or longer hours, or again, whatever your personal preference is there. One thing to note, just be sure at the top, the do not disturb, if it's lit up like that with pink, do not disturb is on, which means chat is off. So I would make sure that that do not disturb is grayed out. and then pick your working hours toward the bottom there. Of course, the idea is you can come in and turn off the chat whenever you want. So if you are, going on vacation or really busy at some all-day long class or something, you can turn on Do Not Disturb and chat won't be available. Consumers are always going to see the email or call options when they see your profile and your property detail pages. All right, so backing out of that one last time, the last little icon up there looks like a little person. That's to log you out of the app. Generally speaking, you hardly ever need to log out. We push updates fairly regularly for the app, and it'll just automatically do those updates for you if you have your phone set to auto update. Once in a blue moon, it might log you out when it does an app update, just because it may have updated some of the user interface or need to resync back to your membership database. So again, for the majority of the time, you don't need to really use that. If you find you're having things work funny, like you try to pull up a property and the screen kind of doesn't show everything for whatever reason, log out back in. Resyncing with your membership database at NTREIS there will resync and reload pages. So once in a blue moon, again, you might need to do that. All right, so moving down the page, a little less obscurely, we have Edit Photo, which is, of course, where you can go to edit your photo. We try to make these as user-friendly as possible. So naturally, if Beverly wanted to upload her picture, she can. Your profile initially comes from your MLS, so whatever you have currently in MLS, and you can see an example of the live chat we just talked about, because again, she's available 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. I have that option to tap and chat with her. Thank you for your question, Nicole. The login is going to be your NTREIS login. This particular app is specific to the NTREIS users, so you would need that North Texas, Dallas-Fort Worth area login. All right, moving on down to the property searches. We've got, you're welcome. Thank you for your question. Nearby search, again, we've tried our best to make these menu items quite self-explanatory. So nearby search, of course, is going to search for homes nearby. I'm going to go into nearby homes for sale. And I am in Houston, as I mentioned, so I'm going to play with it just a little bit here in a moment, but you can, generally speaking, find what is physically nearby you. It's using the GPS capability of your device. So depending on the phone, the provider you have, things like that, you may see more or fewer listings on the screen sometimes than, if two of you were standing shoulder to shoulder looking at the same nearby place, you might see slightly different results because, again, the capability of your provider and the screen size of your phone, frankly, and then just the general functionality of your phone. But again, you can kind of see pretty clearly what's available with the green pens. The orangish yellowish color represent pending properties of some sort, and then there is an option up here in the top right of the menu of the map to turn on sold data, and we'll do that a little later in the webinar, but it's just a matter of tapping that red button, putting in a sold date range, and then being able to view the properties. Just to look at some of the details, let me again finagle it just a touch and search by zip code just to find something more in your area. See if it'll zip for me. Well, I didn't think I'd have to type a zip code, but technology's grand when it works, and it usually works when no one's looking. So I think that'll help me. Well, I swear I tested this before I started. Let's try city. All right, There we go. So again, looking at the screen, your green pens are going to represent your active properties that are available currently. Orange is pending. The ones that are blue just mean that there's several properties stacked on top of each other. So as I continue to pinch and zoom to get a little closer, you'll notice the blue pens will go away eventually because I'll be able to see individual pins if I'm very, 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 very close in. The one where we've got 11 stacked on top of each other and 7, those are likely condos, townhomes, something like that, where there's several units all at one address. So as you can see, pretty simple to zoom in and out. And then if you tap on any property pin, it will show you the details of that property. And I just kind of want to show you how quickly the page reloads. Though it originally zoomed and centered on what was quote unquote nearby, I can easily change that just by dragging the mouse, dragging the screen rather, pinch and zoom and change what it's focusing on. Once you tap on the name of a property or pin of a property, you'll get this little pop-up toward the bottom. And then if you tap on that again, you'll see the full detail of the property. And this again is pulling directly from your NTREIS MLS system, so you'll have all the same details that you would have inside your matrix system, your room sizes, showing instructions, agent contact info, schools at zone 2, all of the good information that you might need. We do have something called drive time search toward the bottom of each listing. We automatically embed that in there. And again, kind of as the name insinuates, it's going to guesstimate the drive time from that particular property to another destination. So presuming a consumer wanted to buy this house, I could put, or they could put, the destination as their work address. And then it would tell them how long a drive that would be. So their daily commute to work and back could be, 22 minutes. And then they would be able to know if that was part of something that would work for them if they purchased the home. So again, you just pick the time that you need to arrive there, and weekdays or weekend days, and then if you just hit go, it would calculate that for you. It'll give you a best time, meaning the best commute time, shortest commute. The best time is off-peak traffic hours, so it's not necessarily going to have you arrive at the right time. It's going to have you have the shortest commute. The second one will be to arrive at the correct time, and by taking the best route to do that. So that, again, is something that we include on all listing detail pages and is automatically there. Again, as an agent, you can use that so that you'll know, the distance between point A and point B if you're showing several homes or whatever. Or, like I just said, if the consumer wants to know that information, you could easily type that info in there and be like, I'm the greatest agent ever. I already know that it'll take you about 30 minutes to get to work each day, or, however you want to word that. Obviously, the consumer being able to do that on their own is a perk for them. It's tucked toward the bottom of the detail page, so it is on the page, but again, a consumer would have to scroll through, but you now know about it a little bit more prominently, so that can help you. So looking back toward the top, I've got two options. One, to contact the agent by phone. Because I'm on my phone, as soon as I hit contact, it would call that agent. Schedule is to schedule an appointment. Because I'm logged in as a member, a realtor member, it knows that I am an agent and will give me the options to make an appointment and see some MLS-centric information. Sorry, apparently I'm getting a potential spam phone call, so let me just turn that off real quickly. All right, so looking back at some of the property detail pages, let me see if I can just find us one that's got a little more MLS data. So again, under contract here, you can see that we carry through the orange. This one is a part of the matrix system, the MLS that Beverly is also a part of. The other one may not have had MLS information because it may be a part of a different association's MLS. It could be commercial, something like that. So this one's giving me more information because it's a part of the same MLS that she is. If you swipe through, you can see property photos. Obviously, you can see across the top the map takes you to the map, which gives you just basic details on its location. The drive time search is at the bottom of that panel as well, so same thing, different way to get to it. Driving directions to and from the home is just standard point A to point B, like Google Map driving directions, turn-by-turn directions. And then see surrounding area is the Google Street View. So that gives you the ability to virtually walk the street, see what's nearby. And again, these are things that are available to both the consumer and the realtor member at this point. Going into the next tab across the top, the MLS info, that is realtor-centric, member-centric. So the consumer doesn't see any of these things. You've got access to your agent full report and matrix. So again, what you're used to seeing, just a little tiny on your phone, but it gives you your agent full, photo in the top, your Matrix 360 view with the tax layer, property history, parcel map, flood maps, all those tabs across the very top that you might be used to. And then the icons in the lower portion under your photo there to open and view tax info, access transaction dust, etc. All right. Back at the app, your property archive report, same thing, different way to get to it. So again, if I had gone into the agent full, I could see the property archive within Matrix, but if I click here, I can see the property archive within the app. So every date change, status change, price change, status change, agent change, all that good stuff will be recorded here, as well as what you can find in Matrix. The tax profile, again, another way to open the same tax report that you can access through Matrix. Your instant CMA, this is an HAR tool we've embedded into the app as well. So client name there on the screen, I can just type in something. And hit next. And then it's going to search for options for comparables for me. So the red, orangish, yellowish, and green banners, again, represent sold, pendings, and actives. If you tap the red banner, it's going to find solds that are the same approximate shape, size, and such. And then in the upper right, on mine, again, it looks like a little equalizer, little sliders, that's to change the criteria. So it's used something quite generic to find these sold properties. If you go into the little slider up there and change the criteria, you can change the date range on that sold. It's going back a whole year, so that's often a little too far back for a traditional CMA, but you can change, again, square footage, year built, stories, all of those types of things to make it look for properties that are slightly more similar. And then once you find one that you love that's a perfect comp, you just simply tap on that add listing to CMA rather at the bottom there. You do have to have at least 2 sold properties before it'll let you move on. So again, you may need to refine the criteria for that reason. But then you just repeat the process on your pendings, actives, and then you can move on into the next. I'm randomly choosing property, as you might be able to tell. Please, in real life, do your homework better than I'm doing it. The last option down here is to add manually. So if you know of a FSBO or something from another MLS, you could pull it in from a tax record, manually type details about a property. I don't know that you would do that all that often, but you could. And then next, again, takes you into the overview based on my painstakingly chosen comps there. Here's my suggested sales price range, list price range, an overview of the property. Again, you have the option to add adjustments, so closing cost contributions, those types of things if you wanted. And then if you were to click Create CMA, it would, of course, do that. And it gives you something that you can email. It's a PDF, essentially. And you can see right here, View Report. Share means share by email, share by text. So it gives you a nice polished report. Again, had Beverly had an opportunity to put her photo in there, of course it would pull through and show. It pulls the main property photo from MLS as part of the cover. And then that overview that we just looked at a moment ago of suggested list price range, price per square foot, and so forth, and then a columnar comparison of all the comps that I chose a moment ago. Generally speaking, it's 4-ish pages on average, depending on how many comps that you choose, of course. It could be a little bit longer or shorter, but generally speaking, short, sweet, easy CMA report. This is going to be saved now inside your app. You can come back to the main menu at any point and be able to access these and pull that CMA up, email it at that time, whatever you might need to do with it. All right, backed out a little too far. Back in the property detail page, the last couple of things in the MLS view would be just to show you how to make an appointment, MLS-centric fields that are realtor only, like showing instructions and so forth, will be there as well. Sorry, I'm trying to type and talk at the same time. Get back in there. All right. May not be the same home again, but we'll get back in there just to show you the last few. So home value comparables, our AVM. This is going to give you a guesstimate, an automated home value, hence the initialism AVM, automated valuation module. It does give you some overview type guesstimates based on these particular providers. CoreLogic is an MLS vendor. They provide the greater Houston area with our matrix system. Zillow, I'm sure you've heard of. They are a third-party company. They use user-added content in their mix as well as some MLS data. And then appraisal districts, of course, are local appraisal districts. Appraised or assessed value of the home, which is, as you also probably know, different than a real estate market value or resale value. But it does give you some general idea of maybe a number of consumers seeing and things like that. And then, as I mentioned, your appointment information, agent remarks, private remarks is how it's referenced here, but the agent-only remarks from MLS, financial info, and then again, means of contacting the listing agent and listing office, as well as back up at the top where it had that information. So all of that came from just tapping the pen on the map and then tapping the pop-up for the property info. And of course, the first tab with the general information is going to be consumer-centric, essentially. Room sizes, public remarks, anything that we would want the consumers to see, we obviously give you access to as well. So you have all that available there. And then last but not least, the little heart in the bottom right corner of the picture, and it's a fairly typical symbol for favorite. Once you tap on favorite, just below the heart though is this little tiny kind of folder. It's made to look like an old-fashioned, good old reliable manila folder. If you tap on that My Folders, it says, you can then create your own folders. So you can see here I've created a folder called Properties for Client A, and I could put this property in there, write a little note, and save it. I can share individual properties with consumers, but I can also share the entire folder. So later I can go back and send them the 5 or 6 homes that I thought would be of interest to them and allow them access to view that information. And if you'll notice now, the heart changed to looking more like a folder symbol, because it's now in a folder, not just favorited in the large generic list. Again, consumers and realtors can create these favorites. As long as they have a login to the app, they're able to favorite property and create the folders as well. And then in my upper right, I have the typical Droid DNA looking type system to share by text, email, Instagram, you know, whatever it is you have on your device. The little 3 lines menu there, the More menu, allows you to move a listing to a folder. So if I had accidentally typed, you know, Properties for Client A, but I meant to put it in the Client B folder, I can easily shift it to a new folder if I need to. There is an option for My List. There's a list, and then there's favorites. The My List function is supposed to be designed more for you. It's pros and cons. another Marylandism there. It's one big fat list. There are no ways to create folders and no sub-organization, so to speak, to it. So my list could be just kind of a big old bucket full of everything that you like for whatever purpose, but then the folders are, again, going to allow you to put the folder in there, call it whatever you'd like. So I could call it parts of town, types of homes, you know, specific client-related properties that I'm saving. So the folders give you much more flexibility in organizing and creating those subfolders. Not interested is, of course, if you don't like it, this removes it from your list of results, though. A lot of folks don't realize that. As soon as you tap not interested, if I were to perform the same search in Dallas again, this property wouldn't come up anymore for me because I've moved it to my not interested, i.e. I don't want to see it anymore list. So just be mindful of that. If you're using that not interested, it doesn't affect the current search, it affects your app. Again, consumers and realtors have access to that. So now you know how that works. Print, of course, prints it. If you have access to a wireless printer, you'd be able to do that. And then the directions are the same driving directions we talked about before, using whatever GPS type app you might have installed on your phone. I'm not going to drive there today for a 4-hour drive almost, but probably a little closer for you guys when you're pulling up property. All right, so that's the 101 on property detail and a couple of hidden golden gems in there as well. So backing up a little further, we do have a map and list view. So all of mine have been generated beginning with the map. If you tap on list, it does give you a list you can scroll through. Sometimes just kind of perusing them first and looking at the verbiage, the text to it would be what you would want. Then sometimes looking at them on the map and seeing that they are too far east or west or inside or outside or whatever it might be can help as well. From this page, you can click the tap the more menu up there and choose select and be able to select several properties at once and then share as well or move to a folder. So I can favorite them by doing 3 at once here or whatever number I had tapped. I can also not interested all of those, so don't do that if you're not ready. And then again, you can share by text, email, social media, whatever it might be. One of the features that we have built into the app for you is if you do share property, let's say I click share and make a Facebook post or something like that, it's going to suppress the listing agent information and brand it with your information. So if I email it to one of my own clients, then they're not seeing that listing agent contact info. They're only seeing quote unquote presented by and my name and contact info. And that is, again, just a benefit of logging into the app. All right, so backing back up, again, we talked about nearby search first. Homes for sale technically is what I ended up doing because I am not, in fact, nearby Dallas today. So homes for sale was the screen that looked like this, where I can type my geographic area here or choose geographic area. We do have a Texas-wide database. One day we might take over the world, but right now we've got all Texas. So if you need to look in the Waco area or the Panhandle or Gulf Coast or whatever it might be, you've got access to all the property data in those different regions. You may not have all the full MLS data, because you might not be a member of that local association there, but you would have information on all the properties across the state of Texas that are in any MLS, including, of course, listing agent information and so forth. And then you've got other options down here to, of course, specify more important features of the home that I did a moment ago, rather. So if I only want single family homes and I only want those that are available currently in a certain price range, bedroom count, square footage, so forth, you can drill down a lot. You don't have as many options here in the app as you would in Matrix, but you do have many of those choices. Pool or no pool, patio deck, yard, things like that. And again, it's pulling all the property detail from your Matrix system into the app. So whatever properties you're able to find in Matrix, you'll find them here as well, with the added perk of maybe being able to find more because we also have the statewide database. All right, so now these are the single family homes that have a yard. All right, so it gives me a little bit different perspective. Again, same thing we talked about before, tap the pin, see the full details, and all of those options we saw before. And I did mention the sold button previously. If we tap on that sold button, again, it's going to allow me to put in a pending date initially there at the top. So I could look for properties that have gone into pending in the last, month to date or something. But the toggle toward the bottom there and turns on and off the sold search. So again, I can search by a minimum sold price range if that's what I wanted. I think possibly more often than not you'll be searching by date range, so I can tap and put in January of this year through current date or March of this year, whatever it might be. And then sold price per square foot if you wanted to use that as well. On this particular screen, there is no save little check mark or save button. It just is saved at this point. You just have to trust it. It makes me sweat a little bit just to have to trust, but here it is. You can see now I've got several red pins that have shown up. So in that date range, with a yard, all the other criteria I had put in before, there are a handful of sold properties now. And so here's this property in Weatherford, Texas. Again, sold. I can see sold price range. If this were in the same MLS that I was in, I would have all of those MLS capabilities to see the actual sold price and so forth. But because this is a different MLS than the membership, Beverly's membership that I'm using, it's just showing me a little less detail for that reason. But hopefully you get the idea. All right, so quick and easy again to kind of switch on solds, and then backing up to the home screen, we have homes for sale or for rent in addition to homes for sale. So naturally you would just tap rent instead. Your price ranges would be slightly different, but the functionality is all the same. Home values is going to be a tax-based search. So if I type in a property address, as long as it's got a tax record in the state of Texas, then you'll probably be able to find it. The new construction type homes sometimes throw it a bit because it may not have a tax record on the home just yet because it was a tax as a lot, tax record as a lot. But generally speaking, if you put in any address, for the most part, you'll be able to find some basic cookie cutter facts about the home. So this is again going to focus on homes that are not necessarily in MLS. It's going to pull up tax-based info. So see there toward the top, it clearly says it's not currently for sale. Gives me the tax assessed value, that AVM we talked about earlier. And then nearby information in addition to property tax info, schools. Here are the nearby homes, other homes that are available for sale in MLS right now. So again, just to let you know that's there. Car mode we talked about earlier. Some folks are icon kind of folks and some folks are menu kind of folks. So we've got the same functionality embedded in the menu as we did there at the top with the icon. Find a Pro lets you search the state of Texas, greater Texas area for other realtors. So if you're looking to co-op with someone, look to refer something to someone, need to just find somebody's phone number or email address real quick, you can use Find a Pro to find those. Your leads, of course, will be wherever you've where it records any leads you may have gotten. You can see that Beverly has gotten a fake lead from me while practicing, but any lead that's generated through the app at all. So if someone pulls up your listing and wants to see it or get more information or whatever, any consumer that has emailed you showing requests, things like that, they'll be recorded here. Our system also emails you directly, so you should get those leads directly by email, and again, push notifications on your phone itself as well. So often you've already taken care of it by those notifications rather than using these menu items. The listing section is, of course, her listings in MLS currently. On mine, again, Droid, there's a little pencil up there to add edit. I think it just says the words add edit on an iPhone, so little simpler, more direct, but that takes you to your matrix system where you can add and edit that listing just like you normally would. So to change a price, upload new pictures, change the status, tweak the remarks, whatever it is, you've got full access to your matrix system with that add edit. And then a separate menu to add edit. So save end results, a little bit different way to get there. And then looking at your agent tools, the dashboard, edit your profile photo, and more. We talked about Beverly maybe not having a chance to upload her photo just yet, but technically she could have done that at this stage potentially had she known she could. If she taps upload photo here, of course, she can change that. The office info, emails, and so forth that we have on file pulling from that membership directory of your local association is all there. You can edit that. You can also visit with your local association. Make sure they have the main database updated if your phone number has changed or something like that. Instant CMA we talked about a little bit earlier as well. This is a little same but different. Same tool, different way to use it. When we talked about the instant CMA earlier, we were already on a listing and we were getting the guesstimated market value of a home that was already in MLS. So perhaps we had a buyer who wanted to make an offer on that home. We ran the CMA, got the guesstimate of market value. We know the range they should offer. Instant CMA from the main menu here presumes that you don't have a home in MLS yet, so you're trying to get a listing in that case. So instant CMA, the little plus mark in the top right corner to add a new CMA, and then you can type a property address. Again, it's going to pull from the tax record. The screen hopefully looks a little familiar. So if I were to put in property details, it'll go and look for that property. Again, as long as it's in Texas and has a tax record, it should be able to find the property for you. And then it'll take you through the same steps we did earlier, where it's going to have the red and the yellow and the green banners for solds, pendings, active, and allow you to choose through, scrolling through and choose which you prefer, I'll get it out here in a second, to add to your CMA as comps. Again, if you know MLS numbers, you can type in an MLS number and pull the property up that way. So same steps, same functionality, just a little bit different way to access it. Back at the main screen, financial calculators, mortgage calculator, forms, generic kind of PDF copies of forms. If you're already using, say, a zip form, transaction desk, dotloop, DocuSign, any of those third-party programs to write up your transactions and send things for electronic signature and stuff like that, keep doing that. This is simply a PDF copy of forms. So I could email it real quick. Again, if I had access to a wireless printer, I could print a copy of the IABS real quick, something like that, but you're not typing and filling out the forms. It's not a form management or transaction management program. It's just copies of the forms. Financial and mortgage calculators, I think, are fairly self-explanatory. Not really your job to, guesstimate their mortgage for the next 30 years, but they may ask you that, what is their closing cost estimate going to be? Again, you've got other folks that are going to be providing them settlement statements and net sheets and things like that, but you do have the ability to do those calculators here on worksheets. Chat, same thing we did earlier. So again, to turn it on, turn it off, change the time frame, whatever you feel is appropriate there. Again, your profile, bio, photo, different way to edit it and preview it. And then the real estate markets is to search for property in different markets. So again, different way to get to it, but I could switch to the Austin area, Panhandle, whatever it might be, to search for a property that way. And then moving into the list and chat area, we're going to have some repeats here, so we won't spend a lot of time talking again about things, but the My List, remember, is kind of a big bucket full of just stuff I put on a list. It's not going to have subfolders or subcategories. It's just one big old list. So again, you may want to use both. You may want to use one or the other. Personal preference, but you do have access to both. Chat, again, is where I can see the chats, look at the history, change my settings. So just kind of trying to categorize it into different chunks within the app, but same functionalities. Favorites and bookmarks show us what we did favorite. Unorganized makes me giggle just a bit at the top there. These are my unorganized favorites, meaning I just tapped on the heart. The folders are in a tab there at the top as well. So now you can see properties for client A. I can share individual properties, or again, I can share the whole folder. You can also swipe and delete the folder and its contents. So just depending on what you'd want to do there, you can do that pretty easily. And of course, you can unfavorite something very simply by tapping on the heart and taking it back out of that folder as well. All right. Again, not interested, we spoke about earlier, so there's another way to access that. The search history is everything you've ever searched for in the app. So if I didn't save a search, didn't save a property in a folder, something like that, I can always go back and easily pull that up again and have that full history. It's going to show me the latest and greatest results to the criteria, but it's saving the criteria that I used. All right. And Q&A, participation, and ratings and reviews. We don't have those functionalities tied to your NTREIS accounts just yet. Those would be HAR specific currently, but to be continued. Help and feedback, obviously, is where you can go for help. We do have tech support at the end of that email here. So if you're experiencing technical issues, you can see there it lets you take a screen recording or snap a screenshot and send that to our tech support guys, and they will be glad to address that. There's somebody watching that all the time, so you usually get a pretty quick, easy response. We do also have tutorial videos a little further down that support section. So this is going to show you videos, short and sweet videos about most everything that I covered today. They run, as you can see, on average about a minute or so. So short and sweet, how to search by map, how to work with your properties and things like that. And log out, of course, is pretty self-explanatory. Log out other devices might not be. If you have the app installed on your iPad and your cell phone, let's say, and you let your kid borrow your iPad, you want to log out other devices so that the kiddo is not getting notifications of property alerts, showing requests, that kind of thing. If you for whatever reason don't want to be logged in on that other device, you can log out of the other device while staying logged in here. Log out logs you out of this device. And then I'll cover the main menu on the far left. We've got a question coming in. Thank you, Lynette, for your question. I appreciate that. To clarify, can my clients can search through homes throughout Texas? Yes, technically they can. If they were to switch and look at different regions, they can do that. We do have something called the branded app here in the greater Houston region that hasn't been enabled yet in the NTREIS greater Dallas-Fort Worth area just yet, but that would brand it with all your information if a consumer searched. So not certain if we're planning to roll that out to your region, but currently it's going to allow consumers just to search by those different regions and see the individual listing agents for each of those. All right. Thank you for your question. Appreciate it. All right. So moving down the main menu, I've just tapped the little 3 lines in the upper left corner. Again, most of you probably recognize that symbol. A lot of the things that we've done already are in this same menu. I'd just like to show you you've got 2 different options, 2 different methods or means of accessing them. There is a choice to share the app. Again, pros and cons. When they're searching for property outside your region, they may be able to access different agents in that other region. And that brings me to the end of the presentation of the kind of basics that I wanted to cover today. Just to clarify, if you share any property with any consumer, it does suppress the listing agent information. So if you go in here and do the work of finding several properties like we did as examples today and share a folder full or a handful of properties with that consumer, in this case it's always going to say presented by Beverly Stewart. So anything that you collect and share is branded with your personal information. Hope that clarifies that a little bit better. Anybody have any other good questions for me? Thank you all so much for submitting your questions. I appreciate that. It gets a little lonely over here talking to myself sometimes. Again, if you didn't already catch it, there is a handout in the upper right corner. I think the icon looks a little bit like a piece of paper up there, so you can download that PDF that I added into the system. Again, I've recorded the session, so if you're registered for the session, you're going to get an email from me in the next couple of days with a copy of the recording of the session today, a copy of that handout or a link to the handout, and you'll also have my contact information, of course, in that email. But just to throw that back up there for you guys, if you don't have any questions for me, I'm going to wrap things up for today, but feel free to email me if you need to. Your local association also has information on the app. They were provided a train the trainer, so they have information there, the documentation I talked about. So again, you can always start there with your local support, folks you know and are used to contacting, but you're also welcome to reach out to me if I can be of assistance to you. Thank you very much for attending today and devoting about an hour of your time. I appreciate that. Doesn't look like I have any other questions coming in, so I will go ahead and wrap it up. Again, give me just a couple of days to edit this video, render it, get it posted. You are most welcome, Nicole. Thank you for your time. Y'all have a great rest of your day, and you too, Lynette. Again, see you online and again soon. Email me if you need me. Happy Monday. Bye-bye.